The Rothschilds secretly financed groups of people to sail around to the many islands and offload many books on voodoo teachings and to promote Satanism based on ritual sacrifice. This was nothing more than a mind control program, which was a fabrication and corrupt form of voodoo and Satanism. Today, they still practice this sick, twisted form of voodoo and sacrifice, which has brought poverty and sickness to the people of these islands. By cutting a people off from their heritage, their customs, their culture, and replacing it with anti-life destructive lies, this is a giant step to genocide. The Rothschilds were involved not only with banking, but also with the international drug trade as well, which began in 1606. The Queen of England, Elizabeth I, allowed the illegal opium trafficking from India to China. The shipping company in India profited a lot, not just from drug trafficking, but from slave trafficking as well. During the 1880s, the Sassoon family, who became the Rothschild of the Far East, was granted opium monopoly rights because Britain wanted to distance itself from the drug trade. David Sassoon was the agent who shared what he profited from with Queen Victoria. When hundreds of chestloads of addictive drugs were destroyed and opium was banned in China, Sassoon and Britain retaliated by stealing and making the island of Hong Kong the British international drug trade and forcing the entire nation into drug addiction. Albert Sassoon, the son of David Sassoon, was the one who spread the illegal opium trade in China and Japan and was then knighted by Queen Victoria in 1872. When Sir Albert Sassoon married Aline Caroline Rothschild in 1887, the pirated fortunes of the Sassoon drug cartel and the Rothschild banking money cartel both joined forces together. Today, nothing has changed. It's business as usual for these bloodline descendants, running their billion-dollar opium trade off Afghanistan. Halfway around the world, Samuel Russell, from the same opium smuggling syndicate, used drug money and founded the Skull and Bones Brotherhood in Yale University. They financed exclusive members into political power positions in the U.S. Supreme Court, the White House, which is the biggest whorehouse in the country, and the CIA, where George Bush became the CIA director. Heroin was smuggled into America inside the body bags of dead American soldiers. By the end of the 1960s, 1/3 of U.S. soldiers in Vietnam and close to 1 million Americans were hooked on heroin. In the 1960s, the CFR had a month-long meeting, and the topic was which country should create the future global culture. They decided that Hollywood would basically create the culture for the world, backed up by the musical industry. The cabal wanted to turn the youth of America onto all these drugs, including LSD and hashish. Celebrity anti-war activists like Aldous Huxley, Timothy Leary, and Bertrand Russell sold American youth on acid rock. Their financing came from the Wahlberg Banksters and IPS, Institute for Policy Studies. Over 100 million dosages of LSD that hit the streets of America were purchased by Timothy Leary and Alan Dulles through the Sandoz Pharmaceutical Company in none other than Switzerland. Switzerland, the country designated as neutral by the royal elite families, the place where they stash their bullion and cash in vaults underneath Zurich Airport's runway, chemist Dr. Albert Hofmann was hard at work, responsible for synthesizing and isolating the alkaloids of ergot fungus. He eventually managed to manufacture lysergic acid diethylamide, which became known as LSD. Critics of the drug cultures blamed parents, teachers, law enforcement, and just about everybody except the people who were really behind it all, namely the Rothschilds, the Warburg banksters, and the Committee of 300. The Tavistock and the Frankfurt Institute, where Theodor Adorno, who is a master at music, understood the complete science and psychology of music that influenced the teenagers and their parents at that time. Music is built on repetition. Repetition is the ideal tool for instilling and implanting subliminal hypnotic suggestion. Repetition, coupled with a state of paranoia, leads to an altered state of consciousness and an illusion-based reality. Theodor Adorno owned the musical rights of the Beatles up until he died. He also taught other musicians these secrets that later became their celebrity salesmen to addict and enslave billions of people worldwide with dependencies on both prescription and non-prescription legal and illegal drugs, which includes alcohol, nicotine, caffeine, Prozac, crack cocaine, and heroin. According to Dr. John Coleman, who wrote the story of the Committee of 300, the Beatles rock group was brought to America by the Tavistock Institute. There were people behind the scenes writing the Beatles material at least when the four were still together. That's right, it's a big secret within the music industry up to this day that there is a big production team behind a lot of these so-called musicians. It's all big business. Everything commercial is staged, but money is not the prime motivation. Its real motives are controlling people's minds and destroying ethics and the moral destruction of the families. At the same time, out came the abortion clinics. They had the pill for women as well. It came out the same time. They also had venereal disease clinics sprouted up for free. This is nothing new. Beethoven was also financed to do experimentations in theaters with certain types of disharmonic music and found it would cause anger and aggression in the audience, and even fights broke out with discordant notes and sounds. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, which was distributed throughout every university in Europe by the garbage bagful. It was thrown over university walls from limousines to get it all started. John Lennon in later years knew he was being used and rebelled against the establishment by promoting peace. Unfortunately, he was taken out, along with many, many others, including Morrison, Hendrix, and Michael Jackson. When movie stars, rock stars, and athletes talk, we listen. We think that they are the most important people in the world. That is why they're paid millions of dollars. The public grovel at their feet. The general public are so dumbed down and brainwashed into worshipping elitism instead of knowing the real power they possess, and they are the real stars. Rap music was introduced to dumb down the black communities by design with their destructive lyrics. Aleister Crowley, who worked for MI5 or 6 to help promote all this mind control propaganda agenda to conflict with natural law.
You're managed by the company, and this surprised me. I only found this out. You're managed by the company you look after S Club 7, you used to look after the Spice Girls, Simon Fuller. Have they tried to mould you in any way, though, if people ask you to do things to change the way you look or speak or behave?
Yeah, one of them tried to mould me into a big triangle shape, and I went, no! Nah, you know, I've got my own style. I've got my own style, and I wrote my own songs, and, you know, if someone has so much of something already, there's very little you can add.
I'm offended when I see boy bands, for God's sake. It's a valid offence, I'm offended. They're corporate shills posing as musicians to further a modelling career, and frankly, I'm disgusted.
The headliners, the guy who make Hollywood runs like it does, right? Bring her to the upper penthouse tomorrow. So she thinking she getting ready to sign a contract. No, they want to pop her in her ass. And this is how they get down. They call it gravy.
If you do get hurt, well, that's just gravy.
Now, everybody, other people may know you from Gravy and your music career. Has this sparked the acting bug? Are we gonna see you in a lot more roles following this?
Yeah, definitely. This is my newfound love. Music is my passion, and you know, acting. I'm definitely getting ready to jump into it.
Okay.
That's a Hollywood slogan for people who just got popped in behind. Well, how did it go, man? How's your career going? Oh, I can tell you right now, baby, everything's gravy. There's been a lot of people that's got their letters on the fly, and they read all the literature. They have them in a nice little room or a sweet hotel. It's real elegant. They do it really nice.
House of Wisdom. Esoteric theologist and philosopher Christopher Lord brilliantly exposes the Illuminati matrix like no one else ever has. Mind-blowing, cutting-edge discoveries that will crush every foundation you stand on. And before you call it crazy, you better do your research, because you don't want to have to pull your foot out of your mouth later. Remember, truth is stranger than fiction.